Well, here we are. It is March 12th, 2024, and in this video we're going to take a look at the upcoming Sothebys sale that's taking place in a few days down in New York for Asia Week. They've got a couple of good sales up. Sotheby's, keep in mind, Sotheby's does their big focus for the spring sales traditionally for the last number of years in Hong Kong in April. And those sales, those catalogs are up, and we're going to be getting to doing a video on those. They've got some very good things. But here in New York, they have some great things too. So I want to get into it. They're going to start out with fine Chinese works of art. And those of you that are looking for the catalog know about coming over to the bitamount.com site. If you want a copy of the catalog, you click here. You go over here, and it's these two catalogs right here. The one on bronzes and the one on, it's just called Fine Chinese Works of Art. There they are. This is the Chinese Works of Art catalog, and that's the one on, it's called Wrathful Deities. It's just two, there are only two lots in this sale. And they come from the Bodha Hamada Foundation, which is an organization that teaches esoteric Buddhism, and they're all over the world. It's an interesting group, and they were given these, and they need to sell them for some reason, and we're going to talk about them because they've got some giant estimates on them. But first, I want to start with the Sotheby's Chinese Works of Art sale right here, and there's a lot of good things in here. They've got a number of very fine Qing ceramics. There's some good Ming pieces. A lot of Sung Celadons. If you're a Celadon buyer, you definitely want to take a look at this auction. There's a few pieces of furniture, not too much. Some very fine jades and some good cloisonne. So we're going to go through it. I'm not going to talk about all the lots because I'd be here all day because there's several hundred lots, but it's a good-looking auction. And there are a number of lots in here that are deaccessioned from the Newark Museum. Why they're deaccessioned them, I have no idea, but we're going to take a look at them. And this is the first lot. This is the Chan Chu Ping seal mark of the Qianlong Emperor. A beautiful underglazed blue and underglazed red example. And as everybody knows, all of you that have been collecting for any length of time know how difficult it is to fire a porcelain with those two colors, because they both require different temperatures to bring up their colors. Otherwise, they'll fail. The blues will turn black, and the underglazed red, which is done with copper, will turn green. And you don't want to see green. You don't want to have a green dragon. Well, maybe you might, but in this case you don't. They wanted red dragons, and this one came out really well. This example is absolutely superb. The swirling clouds. The expression of the dragon, all of the little details, the scales, all this is just done meticulously, as you'd expect. It is Qianlong after all. And there's a very good photograph of the bottom. It has been drilled. And this is the one thing I'm wondering about. This is how it'll do. Without that drill, I think you could drill hole. You could probably add a couple of $100,000 pretty easily onto the estimate. So we'll see how it does, because people don't like them drilled. And what this means is that somebody had this as a table lamp at one point, if you can imagine. And it just seems so strange because it's a pretty big vase to begin with. It's 19 inches tall, so it's a very big vase. And somebody had drilled it. All it says as far as provenance, a private New York collection. So maybe they don't want to say who they are. The people that punched a hole in the bottom of this. Maybe the drill hole was put in there. I assume whoever had it drilled this probably back around between 1890 and 1930 or so, when these pieces didn't get any respect at all in the West, and people routinely drilled them. So anyway, we'll see how it does. It's estimated at $300,000 to $500,000, and it should get there, because I think were it not drilled, this would probably bring $1 million. And then there's this, the Moon Flask. This is a very nice one. Qianlong period again. How big is this thing? 19 inches tall also. It was bought in Hong Kong at Sotheby's in 1997. And it's estimated at $200,000 to $300,000. And that estimate seems very reasonable for one of these. We've seen these in the past, and they bring $300,000 or $400,000. So maybe they're just testing the market, or maybe they got the consignor to lower his expectations a little bit because of economic reasons. Who knows? But this is a very, very fine example. Lots of that, the old what they call heaped and piled effect, which the Chinese copyists, of course, have mastered at this point. So you can't rely on that anymore to date anything. But this is beautifully painted, lightly painted. The flowers and vines on this vase struck me. They look like they're floating. They're just so beautiful. And then the peach clusters in the center with the bats for longevity and good life and all that. Very symbolic. markings, and then the lotus blossoms, and then these sort of stylized elephant head handles up here on the shoulder. Very handsome vase, really handsome. And as I said, estimated at $200,000 to $300,000. It'll be a test of the market to see how that does. I don't think the estimates are high. I went through this whole catalog, and I didn't find any of the estimates to be unreasonable at all. So maybe the auction houses are, talking to consigners and saying, don't go crazy here, okay? Let's be reasonable. Let's try to sell it. And I'm a firm believer that low estimates bring higher prices than high estimates. High estimates don't do any good for an auction. They don't do the auction any good at all. They just damage it. And then there's this box. This is an exceptional thing. A Jiaqing Marken period gilt dragon lid box with the signature on the lid and these beautiful clouds and these gilt decorations of dragons with red flames coming out of them. This is a very dramatic piece of porcelain. I like it a lot. I've always liked these. They don't turn up very often. And there's the bottom of it with the Daoguan mark, and you see the orange peel on the bottom. That was a fairly common feature on some of these, but a really attractive piece of not Daoguan, Jiaqing period, excuse me. And it's estimated at $200,000 or $300,000. Ought to get there. I don't know what they have on a provenance. Oh, this was one of the Newark Museum deaccessions. We're going to get into those now, I guess. Yeah, this was donated. There were a number of things that were donated to the museum. The Newark Museum was founded in 1909. And from their inception, it wasn't that long after the Met was established. We talked about the Metropolitan Museum quite a bit last week in connection with the Bonham sale. And the Newark Museum was founded about 25, 30 years later. And they were given a lot of great things. And for some reason, they're getting rid of the stuff. So I'm not sure why, but maybe the direction of the museum is changing. Who knows? If you're an auctioneer, maybe give them a call. Maybe they'll have some more stuff. Because when museums are starting to sell off stuff that's this good, it usually indicates they're going in a whole new direction, to be perfectly honest. Because there's about, I think there's 8 or 10 spectacular lots of Chinese porcelain in the sale, all early gifts. None of them I remember having seen exhibited at any time in the recent past. So maybe they're going to do something else. But this is a great box. $200,000 to $300,000 in great condition, and let's see, how long has it been off the market? It was gifted to the museum in 1941, and the collection of Herman A.E. and Paul Jahani, whatever, and we'll see how that does. And then we come over to this very fine robin's egg Qinlong period Meiping vase. This is a beautiful vase. Very powerfully potted, nice shoulders on. I love the shoulder on, nice and high. And then it comes into this beautiful vase. All the proportions of it look great. And the glaze is spectacular. If you're bringing it in, look at the glaze. These little droplets, these tiny droplets you see that formed and started to run down and then hardened as it was fired. Really beautiful. And it stopped absolutely perfectly at the foot. All right, that's not, sometimes people think that the way it stops at the foot, that after it's fired, they clean it up. No, that's how precisely they could glaze these things at that time in the imperial kilns. They could really do it. They could do it in other kilns as well, but the imperial kilns were particularly adept at it. And this is a beautiful example. It's not signed. There's no mark on it. It has a glazed bottom, very delicately, trimmed around the foot on the inside. And the bottom has the same glaze on it. It looks to be a slightly lighter color. It could be. And it says the property of M.V. Hayes. And was that the donor? I don't know if that was the donor or not. There were a number of Asian donors. It was the collection of Howard W. Hayes from 1903, and then it went into the collection of Mary Vanderpool Pennington, and then it was gifted to the museum in 1949. There's another gift. And it measures, about 11 inches tall, estimated at $80,000 to $120,000. But a very pretty vase. Love it. And then this is unusual. Now this looks like a Ming plate, obviously, for those of you that enjoy Ming, but it's not. This is a really unusual Yongzhen period dish. And I think I don't understand the estimate. If you're interested in this, check and see if it's been restored or something. It's only estimated at $5,000 to $7,000. It's 13¼ inches wide. It was in diameter. It was also in that Jahani collection and gifted in 1941. Absolutely great looking piece of porcelain, and very much in the Ming style, as they say, early Ming, but done in the Yongchen period. And this is a pretty rare bird, I think. And I'm very surprised by the estimate. I would think it would have been $30,000 to $50,000. So we'll see. Maybe nobody in the market likes these. I don't know, but it's an awfully pretty dish, awfully pretty and big. And then there's this, a really nice Daoguan period famille rose with sgraffito ground, a bowl with a blue interior, nicely done, signed on the bottom there, and a whole bunch of old stickers and stuff on there. And this is also from the museum, from the Newark Museum, estimated at $15,000 to $20,000, and beautifully potted, nice colors, soft colors. Colors on this are particularly soft. The pink, in particular, had a real nice softness to it, I thought, and very well done. And they gave it a good estimate, not crazy, 15 to 20,000. We'll see how it does. And then over to this lantern form vase. This was very nice, Qianlong period, 18th century. It is not marked. I don't believe it's marked. No, it's not. It just has a museum number on the bottom, and just says Qianlong. Soft paste. Doesn't look like soft paste to me. It looks like porcelain, but they're calling it soft. Somebody had called it soft paste once. And there's an interior shot of it. There's the exterior of it. The flowers and the pomegranates, and here you have this Buddha, the citron fingers rather, coming off. They're very meticulously done. They also have that famous heaped and piled effect on them. Nicely done, top to bottom. It looks like it's in good shape, as always, even Sotheby's. Get a condition report if they have them. And this was part of the Jahani collection as well, estimated at $20,000 to $30,000, about 10 inches, 12 inches tall, almost 13, 12 and 7/8 inches, 13 inches, call it 13. 20 to 30,000, it doesn't have a mark on it. So they have to soften the estimate a little bit because it doesn't have a mark. But because with a mark, this would probably be 60 to 80,000, I would suspect. But we'll see how it does. We often see this, things that have been off the market for a very long time, for some reason, well, for obvious reason, they get a lot of attention. And this is one of those cases where when a museum has had stuff that they were given, 80 years ago or so, 75 years ago, 80 years ago, and I don't think they've exhibited them. I checked their website to see if they'd published any of these, and they didn't seem to do anything with them, which seems to be a shame. But these are really very nice pieces, and this was a good gift. $20,000 to $30,000 estimate seems reasonable. And then you have this. This is absolutely beautiful. It's beautiful blue and green ground enameled. Almost looks like it's like a Daosai family, a dragon dish with a Kangxi mark on it. It is 12 and 5/8 inches in diameter, estimated at $30,000 to $50,000. But it has wonderful color. Love this color. I love this green and against this blue background. Very meticulously painted. And the rim is not ground on this. Sometimes these dragon plates have ground rims because they form bubbles in the firing. This doesn't have any of it. There's one little flea bite, a couple of frits on this corner down here at the bottom, and that's it. And a tiny, tiny one over in there. But overall, this is a very nice looking plate. And estimated at $30,000 to $50,000, also from that museum. And then over to this. This is not from the museum. We finished that. But there are other things from that museum in there, so go and check it out. I think there's 8 or 10 good lots in there. So if you want to buy something with museum provenance, go to there and go through them all. But they're well worth looking at. Some real eye candy over there. And then you have this. This caught my eye as being a very unusual sort of a basin, or a barb-rimmed basin, they're calling it. The color, I think, is wonderful, because this is the color you see most often on the interior of vases. You don't see it very often as the primary background color on a plate, and with these beautiful enamels. And if you move out on it and look at it from a little bit of a distance, when I first saw this, I thought it was copper. I thought it was on enamel on copper at a glance, because this is how they would more typically decorate those, but it's not. It's actually on porcelain. And there it is, and that also looks like it might be on copper. Very nice example. Here's the back of it. It's got some little felts on it, so it doesn't scratch the tabletops, I guess. But the back is nicely glazed, and it looks like it's a very, very shallow base under here, slightly concave with a very, very short foot. This is a very unusual plate, I think, a very unusual basin rather. You should keep with the terminology they're using. It measures 17 inches in diameter, and it came from Emery in Paris. There's an old label with it, apparently, according to the label. That's who sold it, probably back in 1930. And it's estimated at $20,000 to $30,000. But it's a rare bird. And if you've seen a lot of these somewhere else, tell me about it. But you don't see them in this color palette very often, and very lightly decorated. All of the enamels on this and all the decorations are look to be more like the secondary decorations you see on a porcelain that they use as fill-in on open areas, outside of a cartouche or landscape scene. You see scenes like this, and here they used it to do the whole piece, which I think it's very attractive, very successful, and $20,000 to $30,000. And then over to this. This is one of my favorites in the sale. It's not my favorite. I'm going to show you my favorite in a minute. It's an amazing thing. But this is a very nice seal mark Yongchen market period vase. Came from a collection in Japan. It's estimated at $350,000 to $450,000. What is it, about 10 inches, 11 inches tall? All it says is private Japanese collection acquired around 1970. But it's a beautiful example with these big ram's heads and very nice crackle on them. Beautifully done. Beautifully done. Beautiful bluish glaze to it. All of the work on it looks great. Here's a picture of the bottom. Very strong foot. I was impressed by the thickness of the foot on this thing, but very neatly finished with the mark. And the glaze is quite thick, as you can see. If you look at the corners under the foot here, you can see how it thickened up considerably on the piece after it was dipped. And they included some very attractive sort of gray background pictures, so you could contrast the vase more. And you can see the nice work they did, how they shaped that ram's head. And there are ram's heads going around. I think there's 4 on this piece. 4 or 3? 3. And it comes with its own little Japanese box, like all great things do out of Japan. It comes with a nice box. They love their boxes. And there's some great stuff in Japan, too. So $350,000 to $450,000. But go and look at it, even if you're not in the market and it's a little out of your range. It's great fun to go and look at them and learn from them, because these auction houses have come so far in the images they provide online. When you think about how, back in the 70s and the 80s when they did catalogs, they didn't always use color. Even they mostly were black and white with one overall shot, and that was it. So if you wanted to learn anything about the piece, you had to go to well, back then Park Bernay and then Sothebys Park Bernay to look at the piece physically. To make sure, to see what it looks like, to learn from it. And now you can get an awful lot of information right offline. So it's a great thing they're doing. And then over to this. This is another terrific little thing. This is a beautiful Southern Sung Celadon, Longquan, a peony decorated cosmetic box, but wonderful quality, beautiful quality. Nice relief work on it. Nicely finished. It's got a tiny little imperfection there on the inside of the lid, which probably happened at the time they made it, but very delicately done in raised work. You don't see these very often. And it went up. It's $15,000 to $20,000 estimate, but beautifully done. They speculate it might even be Yuan Dynasty. They're saying Southern Sung to Yuan, because there was a lot of blurring of the lines in certain ceramics between that and between the end of the Sung and the beginning of the Yuan Dynasty. And then there's this very nice Southern Sung incense burner. And I put this up because it's so similar to, of course, the bronze incense burners they did during the Ming Dynasty. Well, this is where they got the shape from. If you were wondering how they got that shape for those bronzes, well, there it is. And that's about as good as an example you're ever going to see of the prototype for later bronzes in the Ming Dynasty. Here it is in the Southern Sung, a beautiful piece. Let's see here. Where's the bottom? There it is. And they provided an excellent photograph of the bottom of the foot of it, so you could get a sense of what the color of the paste should look like and what the Celadon glaze should look like underneath and all that. A little tiny bit of iron imperfections here and there, but overall, you can see they did a pretty good job cleaning their clay before they fired it. Not a lot of imperfections, and not a lot of rust spots or any of that business. This was nicely done. And it's estimated at $20,000 to $30,000, but a beautiful example. Where did this come from, do they say? Well, it comes in a Japanese wood box, and no provenance at all, none. Maybe somebody just walked in with it and they want to remain anonymous. What a great thing. And it measures 7 1/4 inches in diameter, Beautiful piece of porcelain. And then over to this. This is one of my. This is. I don't know if it's not quite my favorite thing in the sale, but it's right up there. And it's not a bank breaker. It's $8,000 to $12,000, which compared to the rest of the sale may seem rather moderate. But this is a very nice late Ming cafe au lait lotus bowl, done probably in the second half of the 16th century. But I absolutely love the design on the top of it. Love the pattern. Love the glaze, love the whole thing, and it's because it's atypical. I like atypical stuff, as a lot of you know. I like the oddball things. This is very atypical, and I'm sure there are other examples out there, but not many. And this is a beautiful little box, and it looks to be an outstanding addition. And the glaze is fired perfectly. The foot rim looks great on it. I don't see much to complain about, and it's very, very attractive. Estimated at $8,000 to $12,000. And where did it come from? It was sold last time. It was sold by anybody. It was sold by Sidney Moss in London, according to the label, and it was sold by Sothebys in 1999. And there you have it. That's a nice looking thing. And then over here, this is my favorite thing in the sale. And the reason is because of it. Well, this and there's some engravings coming up, but this, I love this. It's an Eastern Zhou or Warring States period jade, wonderfully done. And then in the Qianlong era, the Emperor Qianlong got a hold of it, and they put a Zitan frame on it, body on it, basically. And they used this centerpiece of Zitan, all beautifully carved, as sort of a locking mechanism to hold it in place, because here's the back of it. And it's meticulously done with a poem by the emperor to the Qianlong emperor. And it's a great package. So you have this very early jade. Was handled by the Emperor Qianlong. He liked it enough to make this box for it, to make this frame for it, and he added a poem to it, the whole bit. And the estimate is $60,000 to $80,000, and it's a lot of money. But is it crazy? I don't know. You think about the history of this and where it was. You know, maybe the Qianlong Emperor had this on his nightstand for a long time. You don't know, but it's a great thing. And there's a nice write-up down below it, I believe. There's a long catalog note on it. A related disc mounted an imperially inscribed wood stand and very similar central boss securing the disc, the bai, which is the disc, the jade, in the National Museum in Taipei. There you go. And here's one here. So if you want to buy something that belonged to an emperor, check your credit line. All right, and then on to this. This is a great thing, and it's something you could easily skip over, and I would urge you not to, because what this has a fascinating history. These are copper engravings that were done by the Qianlong Emperor, and there's a very interesting write-up on it. And it's commissioned as the original set of 16 engravings for the emperor's conquests in 1765. The drawings were prepared. The drawings were prepared in China by 4 Jesuits. Giuseppe Castiglione was overseeing them. The famous Lang Chi-ning. He was the director of the project, and then several other monks. And they did the paintings, and then the emperor ordered them sent to France. And when they got to France, Louis XVI sent them to the best engraver in France, to the Académie Royale, and they made steel engravings directly from the paintings, and then they made 200 sets to be shipped back. And some, I think some of them were kept by the Emperor of France, but the rest of let's see here. The Qianlong Emperor's commission was for an edition of 100 copies only. However, to ensure the safe receipt of at least 100 copies in China, an edition of 200 copies were printed. So they made 200 sets in France, and then they shipped them both together. To reduce the risk of loss at sea, the engravings are distributed on 2 separate ships in batches of 100 each. And then they were received in China in 1775 and so forth. And then let's see, only a very limited number of extra copies was printed for the French king, his ministers, and some members of the court. The greatest precaution also was taken that no copies remained with the engravers. So the engravers were sort of made sure they didn't keep anything behind because they could have cashed in on them. At any rate, the engravings themselves are spectacularly beautiful. They have an amazing, the quality, the detail is just amazing. And these were all done by Giuseppe Castiglione and 3 other Jesuits. Spectacular quality. And here you have these conquest battle scenes from 1765, and all these different scenes, wonderfully done. And you can buy it. So there's 16 of them. This is what I don't understand. There's 7 copperplate engravings in this series. All right. And they're only estimated at $20,000 to $30,000 for all of them. So that comes out to what, about $4,000? $4,000 per engraving. So for given their history, that seems awfully low. Maybe it'll blow that away. Maybe this will bring a lot more than that. I don't know. But that seems like such a great bit of history for not a huge amount of money compared to what other things. And here's an overall shot of them all. And these are pretty good size, too. They measure 35 by 20 inches, and they're all framed. They're very, very nice. They did a good job photographing them. I don't know what the frames look like because they didn't share it, but very handsome. And, a historic thing. And then over to that's the end of the Chinese sale. And then you go into Wrathful Deities, masterworks on the Bodh Hamanda Foundation. And there are just 2 pieces in here, but they're so amazing. You have to look at them, even if you're not a big bronze fan. This might make you a bronze fan. This one's estimated at $4 to $6 million. It measures 28 inches tall. Now, you're familiar, we've all seen lots of bronzes floating around in the market, and they typically range in height anywhere from 6 to 7 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, that sort of thing. This thing is almost 30 inches tall. But when you pull it in, the detail, okay, and this is from the Zhuangde period. Yeah, Zhuangde Marcan period. It's also Marcan period from the early Ming Dynasty, so I should point that out too. And they have a nice, good photograph of the mark. And then they have all these great figures in here. And this is the Panjanada Mahakala, and it's Marcan period, all right? Very, very rare. But the quality of the casting, think about that. This was, done back in the early 14th century, mid-14th century. Unbelievable quality. Spectacular. He's standing on the figure who's laid out, and all the way up. Looks to be in superb condition. All the way around, estimated at $4 to $6 million. Just a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. The wild eyes, and God, this thing is great. And this is, because I get inquiries through the identification assistant thing all the time. People send me pictures of bronzes, and I always tell them, go look at something. Go look at a really great bronze, all right, to get a sense of where you are. And this is this kind of thing is a great bronze. And then you have this one. This was estimated a bit less, $3 to $5 million, and it's the Kapaladhara. I always get these messed up because the pronunciations are brutal. Hivadra. Got it. Okay. And you've all seen these. You see them typically. They're fairly small. The multi-arm things in the 2 figures are embracing. And typically you see these and they're 7 inches tall, 8 inches tall, maybe 10 inches tall. This thing is big. This one is, I believe it's big. 26.5 inches tall. It's a great big one. Amazing quality. Again, equal quality to the other one. Very interesting to look at. On this beautiful, beautiful base, just spectacular, and it's not marked. This is an unmarked one, so the estimate's is $1 million less, but a beautiful example, $3 to $5 million. Check it out. The catalog is on the Bidamount site and all that good stuff. But do check these pieces out, even if you're not going to bid on them. Just go look at them; they're fun. All right, and that's it. That's it for this. We're going to do the Doyle sale. Doyle did get their auction up online. They're late as always. It went up I think it went up over the weekend or Friday. Somebody emailed me and said that the Doyle got their sale up, and then I went and checked. It was there. So we're going to do a bit on that because they get a few nice things. And we're also going to talk about the Heinemann sale, Heinemann-Freeman sale that's coming up. And I want to get that out in the next couple of days. That's a good looking auction too. So thanks a lot for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. And make a comment. Tell me what your favorite thing is on here. Let me know. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye.